There's a whole lot of Republicans, for whatever reason, cannot find their spine. But they might.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. It's not spinelessness. They like death. They're happy. And where is yours?
For being here. I'll have a short statement, then I'll turn it over to Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bob Jacobson.
Really fiery stuff.
Joined
Thanks.
here by Hennepin County Sheriff Witt, State Patrol Colonel, and General Menke, the Adjutant General of the Minnesota National Guard. Well, as I said last week, this federal occupation of Minnesota long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. It's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of our state. And today that campaign claimed another life. I've seen the videos from several angles, and it's sickening. But I have a strong statement here for our federal government. Minnesota's justice system will have the last word on this. It must have the last word. As I told the White House in no uncertain terms this morning, the federal government cannot be trusted to lead this investigation. The state will handle it, period. Let me say something else, and this is critically important. All of us understand what happened this morning and the tragedy of it, and my deepest sympathies to the family of a 37-year-old Minnesota resident, a lawful firearm concealed permit carrier, something that I've been lectured to by Republicans for decades. It is not only your right, it's your duty. We know that the potential to further inflame tensions is high, and to Minnesotans, there's a difference. We want calm and peace and normalcy back to our lives.
What more can I expect, right?
They want chaos. We cannot and we will not give them what they want by meeting violence with violence. Minnesota and our local law enforcement, as you have seen...
You ever get tired of having to be the bigger man always? Don't you just want to go fucking crazy? The Democrats would lecture you on the importance of civil protest as you were marched into train cars and sent off to death camps, you know? They would tell you not to stoop to the level of the Gestapo agents that are, shooting you in a ditch.
Have done everything possible to de-escalate. Local media has reported extensively on the cooperation to de-escalate this situation. Donald Trump, I call on you once again. Remove this force from Minnesota. They are sowing chaos and violence.
Wouldn't the bigger man, by definition, also be the stronger man? Can't we play on that? There are like 1 million people in the Twin Cities and just a couple thousand ICE agents.
We've seen deadly violence from federal agents again and again and again. But in contrast to that, on these frozen streets, what you witnessed yesterday was the best of Minnesotans, peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights. And I attended in the church basement hundreds of Minnesotans from all faiths.
This is the great hypocrisy of the white moderate, the liberals advocate for civil disobedience. I am a big advocate of civil and lawful disobedience, of peaceful protest. The general strike yesterday was enormous, and I wish that I had been live to celebrate it. And I'll talk about it, don't worry. But the whole point of those protests, the whole point is to express solidarity, commitment, the community mindset. You get people out there organized and together. But at the end of the day, if people are killing you, you have to do something about that. The point of civil protest is not to show that you are only capable of civil protest. It is to show that you are capable of civil protest. Like the whole point here, you are supposed to, like, they never have an answer to this too. What happens if you don't answer to the or else? What is the purpose of a strike but an or else? What is the purpose of a protest but an or else? If you go out there and protest by the millions and then nothing happens, what then? Oh, well, we tried? Is that not an indication that every protest is impotent? It doesn't matter what you do, how many people you organize, you just have to wait out the protest, that's it, you're done? How would anything ever change? Should we have endlessly, peacefully protested the occupation of the British in the Revolutionary War? What should we have tolerated after the secession of the South and the Civil War? Like, where is the or else? Every civil protest is by its nature intended to be a threat.
Packing care packages for families that have been ripped apart. Despite the horrific acts by this federal government, Minnesotans are standing up for the rule of law. They're protesting loudly and urgently, but peacefully. It must stay that way, Minnesota. Minnesotans are witnessing, and we're creating a log of evidence for the future prosecution of ICE agents and officials responsible for this. They're helping their neighbors. They're walking their kids to school. They're feeding families. I salute their courage and their restraint, and I call on all Americans to see the
thing that really pisses me off, too, is the fact that we know they're being hypocritical because we want what they want in Iran, right? The Iranian government is brutal, and I would fully support a civilian uprising against the religious authority there, 100%. But what do they think that uprising is going to look like? Tweets? Like, obviously, the civil resistance in Iran is potentially, at least, I mean, it certainly was during the overthrow of a Shah, the threat of greater action. They would love that in Iran. They would love that in Venezuela. They would love that in any country we aren't on good terms with. But here in the United States, off the table. Off the table. Not allowed.
See that this state is exhibiting and the horrific cruelty, unprofessional, absolute abomination that is passing for what these ICE agents are doing on our streets. They think they can provoke us into abandoning our values. Well, they're dead wrong. We'll keep the peace. We'll secure the justice with our neighbors, and we'll see this.
It's fucking pathetic, dude. Seriously. The idea that the problem with ICE agents is that they're unprofessional rather than professional. If only they were better organized and better armed and better trained, you know? Or the idea that the thing that the ICE agents are trying to do is bait us into bad behavior, you know? It's the logic of like a schoolyard bully, you know? The difference is that on a playground, when you're like in first grade or whatever, it may well be the better strategy to not fight back against the bully because there's a ruling authority there, the teacher. In this case, the person doing the bullying is the teacher and the administration and the school board head and the governor and the president. Like your well-minded civil resistance is not being admired by anyone above you. There is no God standing over you that's going, oh, wow, finally you've demonstrated the sufficient degree of moral high-handedness. You know, the ivory tower has been built tall enough. Now we will fix the problem. The only people above you are the people you're trying to resist.
Patient ends. Minnesotans and Minnesota law enforcement that continuously is being denigrated by this administration will continue to be the adults in the room, the professionals in the room, the decent human beings in the room that will
legitimately, I think this degree of liberalism constitutes a kind of religious thinking, 100%. And also, by the way, the original liberals were not like this. Not to glaze, you know, the founding fathers too much or anything, but I promise you that this kind of language was very much the language of the loyalists, not of the patriots. This like, you know, heed not the rabble who scream revolution, they have not your interest at heart, etc., etc. This shit was not what they represented, you know? This is not liberalism ideologically. This is a capitulation to capital. Democrats have no idea how to act unless they're working at the behest of those people, you know?
The peace. With this, I'd like to turn it over to Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bob Jacobson to update you on the situation as well.
Oh, please.
Thank you, Governor. I'm Bob Jacobson, Commissioner of Public Safety for the Department of Public Safety, and again, it's my honor to serve in that position. A man was shot and killed this morning in Minneapolis.
I don't really care. I'm here to be angry at Walz. I don't think anything this administration does is going to satisfy me, but I want to hear this rhetoric.
And is there any indication that they are going to pull out or back down?
Well, I spoke twice this morning.
I thought Trump was fishing for an excuse to invoke the Insurrection Act. Wouldn't responding with violence give him that? No, it wouldn't make a difference. The Insurrection Act would not make a difference. It's not martial law. We do not have a law for martial law in the United States. The reason Trump keeps backing off, and for one, if Trump wants to invoke the Insurrection Act, he'll just do it. When the fuck has he ever cared? They sent thousands of ICE agents to the Twin Cities because of the goddamn Somali daycare video. Like, they don't need a reason, you know? But yeah, that we don't have an enabling act here.
Shortly after I received the call of this shooting, I spoke with the President's Chief of Staff, and first request was to get her people out of there, to get these...
What do you want the governor to do? Call ICE and the Border Patrol terrorists who love murder and want to kill and rape people for fun because they're dickless cowards who use this to get their kicks. And then deploy the National Guard with orders to protect the people of the Twin Cities from ICE.
Agents out of there, they were going to cause more chaos. And second call is, with no uncertain terms, that we will investigate this. We will not be stonewalled. What we've already seen, and you saw it this morning, before any investigation is done, you have...
Do you think neighborhood militias will start forming now that the government won't take action? I mean, the people in Minneapolis have already been organizing to tail ICE. What do you think is going to happen when it becomes clear that ICE can just murder witnesses with impunity? A lot of those people own guns. Like, it would not change very much for the hundreds of people who show up with cameras to turn into hundreds of people showing up with cameras and firearms. And if they did that, what is ICE going to do? Beat them? Win? As all it takes is for the people of Minneapolis to realize how much more there are of them than there are of ICE agents, or how much they are under threat whether or not they engage in that kind of protest.
Most powerful people in the federal government spinning stories and putting up pictures, and unrelated people who we don't know anything about, and a picture of a firearm to try and spin a narrative.
Yes, and like the movie Ants.
I ask Americans, this will end when enough Americans say this will end. Do I have any confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing? No.
So what happens if enough Americans say it'll end and then they just don't end it? Say? Is that the limit of your imagination, Tim? They say? Oh, enough people say? Really? You think, is that how power works? Is that how political power works? If enough people say they want this to stop, it'll stop?
I don't have a lot of confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing.
Then how exactly will public opinion change this?
I do have a lot of confidence that the majority of the American people will do the right thing, and I think there cannot be...
Doing what? Again, like it dies on one follow-up question, right? Like instantly it evaporates, all of this and nothing. And do what? What happens if they don't change this? What exactly do people have to do? Do you think more people showing up at these ICE protests and saying they disapprove of ICE's actions are going to make that critical difference?
Very many people across this country looking right now, after all the reporting that's been done, after everything that's been said, under the pretense that they are here about immigration reform, and quit referring to these people as law enforcement. They are not law enforcement. We have law enforcement who do an incredible job. And to listen to Greg Bovino denigrate the work of our people who are out there cleaning up their mess, no, I don't have a lot of confidence that he himself will do it. But here's what I do have confidence in. There's a whole lot of Republicans, for whatever reason, cannot find their spine. But they might...
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. It's not spinelessness. They like death. They're happy. And where is yours?
Find the ability to know that they're not going to win another election as long as they live, unless they stand up for what's right and stand up for the rule of law.
That's great, man. Just 3 more years till Trump gets out, dog. Hey, listen, Twin Cities, just keep this going for 3 more years, all right? That should only be, what, maybe at the current rate of escalation, a couple hundred more of you getting shot on the street? It's fine, it's fine. Anything would be better than us actually resisting the occupation. Anything would be better than that. We don't want to sink to their level.
Stand up for human decency, and that's the moment.
So then, just a follow-up, because then if that is not the case, what are the people of Minnesota supposed to do who are in the middle right now? Because if they do Stonewall...
Good question.
And you're trying to investigate, is that force on force?
And look, I speaking to the people of Minnesota right now, I hear that scream from you, and I'll continue to plead and ask you for peace. And I know the answer is you ask us for peace and we give it, and we get shot in the face on the streets coming out.
Yeah, that's a pretty good retort from the people who are saying that, you know? That's a really good response. We give them peace and then they shoot us in the face. So what's the, what's your response to that one?
out of a donut shop. We cannot give them what they want.
Oh, no response. Okay, guys, listen, I know that what I've advocated for has been proven to not work. But, you know, you just have to keep at it, okay? Just keep at it. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Very good.
I don't know how to say this in so many terms to watch the madness that we've witnessed over this last week coming out of the White House and what it's doing here. My confidence is, and I say it to Minnesotans, as I've said, exercise your First Amendment rights. Speak.
What about your second? The position of the federal government is that the people of your state are allowed to be executed if they are lawfully carrying a firearm. What about the second? Guys, it's not Fed posting, and I really wish you wouldn't. I understand, like, it's funny, haha, but, like, genuinely, the Fed posting is when you're advocating, like, you realize what you're conceding when you say that reminding people of our constitutional rights is Fed posting? You're essentially, like, making the argument of the administration, ooh, how scandalous. He's reminding people of the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Sure, put me on trial for that. Oh, he fucking called for violence against federal officers. How'd he do that? Well, he reminded people there's a Bill of Rights. Yeah, find a jury to convict me for that. Jesus Christ.
Out, bear witness and document legally. But I understand the risk in that. And I understand the courage that it takes to have people out there doing this. Thank God we have video, because according to DHS, these 7 heroic guys took an onslaught of a battalion against them or something. It's nonsense, people.
Thank God we have people there with video. Just, you're gonna keep getting killed by ICE agents, okay? You're gonna have to keep going out there and filming them, and they're going to keep executing you. But we need the video footage of the execution. So you have to keep. It's most of you will live.
It is nonsense and it's lies. So my confidence is this, Minnesotans. You know who you are, and you demonstrate it every single day, and we damn sure know who these people are. The American public
Not that we would ever file charges against them, of course.
knows, and this needs to be the event that says enough. Go ahead. No, I'm up front.
Honestly, Walz believes he couldn't win an escalation. The people of Minnesota would win an escalation. I'll remind you, the state we're in right now is that a group of lawless thugs are running around executing legal witnesses who are peacefully exercising their Second Amendment rights, okay? We know for a fact that at the end, once you stack every card up on the table, we know who wins this in the end, and it's the American people, okay? So for Walz to sit here and to like he has literally laid out the counter argument to his argument and then said he doesn't have an answer to it. Oh, well, just filming them is doing nothing. They shoot us, you know? The whole point of filming the ICE officers is so everyone knows how bad they are. But you then have to act on that information, right? Like, it's like journalism, okay? You're engaging in a kind of citizen journalism when you go out there to follow ICE with your cameras. But the point of journalists is not just merely to present the information and then that's it. Congratulations, folks. We found out about Watergate. All right, goodbye. Congratulations, folks. Here's writing on the Boston Massacre. Okay, goodbye. The point is to motivate action. You share information so people can act on the information. The mere sharing of the information on its own is not sufficient. That's not the point. We all know that they're murderous thugs. We all know that they're rapists and pedophiles and fat high school dropouts who couldn't even make it as a cop. The founding fathers would be Fed posting right now. I think we can all like safely say that if the founding fathers were the people in charge of the federal government right now, everyone responsible for this would be like this is beyond the fucking pale. Are you kidding me? And this is not a defense of the sterling moral instinct of slavers, okay? But like, Jesus Christ, this is not a difficult pitch. Just describe the situation to them. Go back in time and just pitch this one. Give Jefferson a little, you know, oh, here's what's going on. He would, yeah, I'm telling you, they would know what to do.
Allowed to do this investigation.
The question was related to whether or not the BCA is on the ground currently with the investigation, and a reference to previous investigations that the BCA have attempted to be a part of. What I'll tell you right now is that we no longer have BCA agents or public safety, state patrol, or Minneapolis on the ground at that crime scene.
That's great.
And left us there.
Governor Ernesto, within your time, have you activated the National Guard? I noted that Sheriff Witt has requested for additional assistance. Can you tell us whether they're going to be playing a role in keeping?
Yeah, yes, the answer is yes, we have, as we said last week, and we staged those troops. I'll have General Menke talk about where they're at, and again, use this as an opportunity to stress to Minnesotans the frustration you have, and as you saw this, they killed a man, created chaos, pushed down protesters, threw gas indiscriminately, and then left the scene, and then we're left to clean up. I understand the anger. I understand trying to parse who were the law enforcement on the scene when you got there after a man was killed is difficult for the folks who are out there. But I can't stress enough, our goal, and I'll have General Menke talk about what the role of these Guard troops are in conjunction with incredible work from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, from mutual aid across, and of course the State Patrol, of trying to get to the point where what we're saying is we can handle this and Minnesotans can express their First Amendment rights and have our folks on the streets and get these people out of here. And so
get these people out of here. How? Fucking how, Tim? How? Literally fucking how, dude? They have no, it's like a blank spot. It's a gap in their theory of politics. What happens then? What do you do there? How?
On, if you want to talk a little bit, but the answer is yes, there's activated. He can talk to you about numbers.
To be clear, Governor, activated is different than having them state.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So the question is, what's the National Guard doing right now? So we have, we have been on state active duty for over a week. So we've had soldiers prepared in the metro area to respond in a much rapid manner than if they were not mobilized. So we have a request from the Hennepin County Sheriffs to support them, and that is to help them free up additional resources for other work that they need to do. And we have started coordinating with them this morning on that, and that first area of support will be assisting them with their requirement to provide security to the Whipple building. So we'll be helping them there. And then we are in parallel planning with other organizations within the state of Minnesota, to include the State Patrol, the Minnesota DNR, and other local agencies to render assistance if requested.
Could you say how many are now employed?
I would say that the number that we have is adequate for the requests that we have right now, and I will also tell you that we are bringing more resources that will be able to respond in a timely manner that are not fully mobilized yet, but we are mobilizing more soldiers as we talk at this time. I'd like not to get into specific numbers for an operational security standpoint, but right now we have all the resources to meet the requests that we have.
I would note on this one, too, that we'll be billing the federal government for the cost of the National Guard because...
Thank you, sir. Yeah, the question, because eventually the National Guards...
are incurring the cost.
Dude, my keyboard's actually like fucking up. I have to order a new one right after stream ends. Don't let me forget that. The National Guardsmen, this is the big question, really, which is like, it's based on statements made by the Minnesota National Guard. I do not think, remember, when the National Guard were deployed in Los Angeles, what did they actually do, right? Very, very, very little, if you'll recall. The Minnesota National Guard, or sorry, the California National Guard basically just stood there outside the federal building, and they did not assist ICE in any meaningful capacity. Obviously, in D.C., all they really did was pick up trash. In Minnesota, the question is, like, there are so many ICE agents operating right now in the Twin Cities area that the National Guard cannot meaningfully go out and protect them. There are more Minnesota National Guardsmen than there are ICE agents, but that doesn't mean they're going to send an escort or a patrol out with every one of them, and they're not going to deploy every one of them too. I don't know, like, just having National Guardsmen outside the federal building isn't going to change anything. They need direct orders.
Costs that are falling on us by their reckless actions. Yes, sir.
You alluded to this earlier, but are you rejecting the narrative that has been presented by
I'm rejecting the rush to judgment within 15 minutes of this, which they did last time. That's why you need to have a fair investigation. And that's
Fuck
why
you.
a video can show one thing,
Oh,
but
okay,
what
bro.
happened beforehand. But they already will slander this individual. They've already made this the case. And I will just say, you will all start to see it, and some of you probably have. There's multiple angles of this. And I'll go back to what we talked about before. They're telling you not to trust your eyes and ear, not to trust the facts that you're seeing in front of them. And at some point in time, your reporting, and I think the reporting this week has been spectacular across Minnesota, that there's not two sides to every story. But in this situation, what I'm saying is we need to have a fair investigation, understanding what's happening, and held accountable. We continue to hear, and we heard it from the vice president, that these folks can do whatever they want. They can have full immunity. And what I'm telling you is they will not. There will be justice to Minnesotans. Continue to gather the information. So I won't.
Nothing's happened after Renee Good. Nothing's happened here. What are we doing? The state and local police still aren't doing shit. What are they doing?
Say where it is, because I think it's irresponsible to make that judgment. But
Irresponsible.
what I see with my eyes and what you're going to see with your eyes makes that pretty hard to believe. And I would imagine as a federal officer, they would have come out and sounded like these professionals sound and say, we need to gather the information, we need to gather all the facts, we need to put them forward, and then we can make some informed decision based on the fact. They've written the narrative already. And the audacity to critique the police chief of Minneapolis after what work that those heroes.
The audacity. I can't listen to this fucking guy anymore. I'm sorry. Tim Walz's stupid fucking speech. The audacity. How dare he? Truly the greatest crime committed this morning. Trump said Walz was inciting insurrection. Of course he did. Yeah, this is, earlier tweet. Yeah, no, I know. Obviously. Yeah, of course he did. Obviously. Yeah, of course. He's not wrong, by the way. He's actually completely correct. By being this weak and removing any possibility for an organized resistance against ICE at a state level, you basically guarantee civilian unrest. He's completely correct. Yeah. Walz's weakness here inspires the people of Minnesota to act on their own. How could they not? I put 3 angles synced at half speed. Brilliant stuff, but I don't know if I need to watch that right now. Wait, what does that mean? In a society that valued law and order, right now, either local, state, or the National Guard in Minnesota would have already been deployed with explicit instructions to hamper ICE and protect protesters. If the federal government wants to fight that, fuck them, you know? That's what it is. That's the whole point of this fucking national experiment, man. That's the whole point. We can't only value law and order until the law is being broken and the order is being disrupted by people with badges. That's not. No. What was the whole fucking point? You know, what was the whole point? Worthless. If they're not doing something, the people will eventually.